Have you ever heard a sound you thought you would never hear again, and it stopped the world for you? Not a shout or an alarm, a laugh, the pure laugh of your child, clear as rain after a long drought. Imagine you open your door and time breaks in half, because that sound impossible for 2 years is happening right in your living room. Santiago Herrera drops his keys when he hears it. The metal rattle snaps him back to the present, but a moment ago he was somewhere else. He was standing in a day that used to be normal, a day when Esperanza was alive, a day when Mateo ran instead of being wheeled. Now he is here, and yet he is also there, because his son is laughing as if God has returned a missing color to the sky. Mateo's wheelchair is turned slightly toward the light from the window. The boy's arms are thin, his shoulders a bit hunched, but his eyes gleam in a way Santiago had forgotten. A young woman kneels in front of him and pushes the chair gently, as if piloting a small boat on calm water. She makes a low, brave growl and then squeaks like a bird. She points at a sofa cushion and pretends it is a hill. She points at a vase and calls it a mountain. She points at the door and tells it to guard the kingdom. Mateo claps. It is a small clap. It is also an earthquake. The woman looks up, startled by the sound of the keys. She stands quickly and smooths the front of her uniform with hands that are steady but humble, like someone who knows what it costs to do a kind thing. "Hello," she says. "I am Camilla Morales. I came today to work. The agency, did they not call you?" "No one called me," says Santiago. His voice is rough from disuse. He has spoken to lawyers and doctors and to himself in empty rooms, but very little out loud in ways that matter. He wants to ask who she is and why she is here and how she made his son laugh. Instead, he glances at Mateo and sees the change there. The boy's gaze has retreated inside, like a turtle that caught a chill. The laugh has shut off as if someone flipped a switch. "I can go," says Camilla softly. "If this is not a good day, I can come back another time." "I did not mean to intrude." Santiago's breath shivers. His fingers curl. "Don't go," he says finally. He clears his throat. "Please do not go. Just be careful with him. My son is very fragile." Camilla lowers her eyes, but her eyes do not agree. She looks at Mateo again and sees not fragility, but a loneliness so deep it is a room with no windows. Under the loneliness is a small flame. She does not say any of this. She simply nods. "I will be careful," she says. She turns to Mateo and kneels again, bringing her face level with his, letting the boy decide what to do with her presence. He stares at her and then, very slowly, lifts one hand. Camilla smiles as if the sun has told her the secret of its warmth. In the days that follow, the house unfolds new rooms. Not rooms with new walls, but rooms in the people who live there. Santiago learns a new ritual. He stands at the study window where no one can see him, and he watches Camilla work. He sees that she never moves too fast with Mateo. He sees that she never calls him sweetie in a pitying way, never makes that sharp, sad face people make when they think they are being compassionate, but are really telling a child what he will never have again. She speaks to him as if he is a child like other children, only quieter for now, only in a different posture for now, only at the beginning of a long path that will not look like anyone else's path, and that is okay. The garden becomes a theater. Camilla ties her hair back with a simple ribbon and drags a small bin behind her. She wipes the patio table in a wide, exaggerated circle, then stops and whispers as if to a group that might run away if she is too loud. "Do you know what happened this morning?" "The flowers told me a secret. The rose over there is dramatic. It complains all day. Oh, the sun. Oh, the thirst. It flops its head like it is going to faint. The daisy is shy. Speak up, little one." "I cannot hear you," says Camilla. She answers herself in the tiny voice of a daisy. "I am speaking. I am just very small, and the wind is bigger than me." Mateo watches in careful silence at first. Then his eyes track her hands. His shoulders relax. On the third day, he taps the armrest twice when her rose voice complains. On the fifth day, he moves his mouth as if words are animals that want to be held, and he wants very much to learn how to hold them without dropping them. Santiago tries to remember when he stopped trying. He tries to remember the last time he turned his voice into a carnival. The last time he made a sandwich look like a lion or a moon or a silly face. The last time must have been the day before things ended. The last Saturday. The swing creaked and Esperanza pushed Mateo higher with each push. "Higher, Mommy, higher," he had yelled, and Santiago had pretended to be the sun, jealous of how high they got, and Esperanza had laughed her long golden laugh and said, "Careful, our boy will fly away." What did he do after that? He insisted they stop at the store in the rain. He drove too fast to get home, or too slow to get away from what was coming. He does not know anymore which is true. He wakes at night with water on his face, and his hands tense on a steering wheel that is not there. One afternoon, Camilla makes sandwiches. They are carved into butterflied halves with cherry tomato antennae and lettuce for wings. She sets the plate on Mateo's tray as if landing a small plane. "The butterflies have arrived for lunch, my prince," she whispers. "They are starving for affection." Mateo stares and then looks at her face to see if this is a trap. It is not a trap. He picks up a butterfly and bites its wing. It is a small bite. It is also a bridge built over a long river of refusal. Santiago almost shouts from the hall, but he holds the sound in his hands and squeezes it down to air. He stands perfectly still while something unmakes and remakes him at the same time. This is how miracles actually look, he thinks. They are not big, loud thunderstorms. They are tiny movements inside a room you stop visiting because it hurt too much to open the door. Camilla learns Mateo's quiet. She learns that he tolerates piano music at a low volume, especially lullabies that sound like waves. She learns that he flinches at sudden clatters, but he can handle the kettle if he is warned. She learns that he is very attuned to tone. He will watch your mouth to see if your voice matches your eyes. If you pretend to be happy but your eyes look heavy, he will turn away. If you are anxious but your voice is gentle, he will lean in. She learns that he is brave. Every attempt to move a hand on purpose is an act of bravery for him. Every clap is a mountain climbed. On the 7th day, the doorbell rings. The sound has always been too sharp for this house. Today it cuts the afternoon in two. Camilla looks up from where she has been singing about dragons that are wise and kind. Dragons that guard the staircase because it leads to a mountain, not just a floor. Santiago goes to answer and mumbles something to someone at the door. His voice is different. It has a tremor of wonder that is not like the wonder he felt when he heard Mateo laugh. It is wonder mixed with fear. "Mateo," he calls, and his voice wobbles. "There is someone very special here to see you." The woman who walks into the room is a ghost with lungs. Her hair is the color of Esperanza's hair. Her eyes are Esperanza's exact blue. Her height is Esperanza's height. Her smile is Esperanza's shape. But the warmth that always arrived before Esperanza's voice is missing. It is like seeing a beautiful photograph you used to kiss and then realizing it is printed on stone. Camila freezes. Esperanza is dead. The photos around the house do not lie. The woman who walks toward the wheelchair cannot be who she looks like. The woman stops and tilts her head. "Hello, my little angel," she says, and her tone is almost right. The name, however, lands like a stone on a river. Mateo's reaction is immediate and feral. He squeals in terror and folds into himself, as far into himself as a child in a wheelchair can fold. His hands fly up to his ears. His eyes fill with the kind of tears that do not fall because they are too busy burning. "This is Valeria," says Santiago, forcing the words through his shock. "Esperanza's twin sister. She has come back from Spain. She was grieving there. She needed time. She is here now to help." Valeria holds out her hand to Camilla like a queen might hold out a ring to be kissed. It is a gesture she learned somewhere that taught her she does not need to offer anything beyond being herself. Camilla touches the hand quickly. "Much pleasure," she says. Valeria's smile widens, but only on the surface. "I hope you are taking good care of our family," she says. The word "our" slides across the floor and under the couch, where it waits like a scorpion. There are people who learn to arrange love like furniture, with ownership and angles. Valeria is one of those people. She has arranged this meeting for maximum effect. She didn't expect Mateo's terror, though. He shakes now, small tremors. He is remembering the sound of rain on glass. He is remembering a woman's voice like this voice saying his name. That memory is a hallway full of doors that lead to fear. Camilla watches Santiago watch Valeria. He looks like someone who has seen a reflection of his life and wants to touch it. For him to have a version of Esperanza living, breathing, standing in front of him is dizzying. He sways between relief and guilt and something like hunger for whatever he lost. He does not see the cold iron under Valeria's skin. Not yet. It takes days for the house to learn the shape of Valeria's presence. Mateo regresses. Regression is what the therapists call it when trauma comes back like a tide you thought had gone out forever. He cries in the afternoons with a sound like a kettle that has lost its whistle. He refuses food again. He shakes. He jerks awake at night calling for his mother, but the words are trapped behind his teeth, and the sounds that get out are the sounds of rope on wood in a storm. Valeria begins telling stories in whispers when she thinks the air is listening, but people are not. "You know, Mateo," she murmurs one day in his room, "that day your mommy was very worried because you were crying in the car. She was distracted. She was trying to make you stop." The boy makes a wounded sound, small and ancient. "If you get very upset again, if you cry loud, if you make noise, your daddy might get so worried that—" She does not finish. She strokes his hair with careful fingers. "We do not want anything bad to happen, right?" Camilla hears this from the hall. She moves back before Valeria exits the room, then goes to Mateo when the coast is clear. He points at his mouth and shakes his head. His hands flutter, and then he points at a photo of Esperanza on the bedside table and makes a motion like something being pulled away. Camilla understands the grammar of panic. He believes that noise is dangerous. He believes that his voice can hurt the people he loves. She takes his hand. Her palm covers his knuckles. "You are safe," she says. "You can talk to me when you are ready." But he only cries quietly and shakes. Valeria is methodical. People like her do not trust the power of one tactic. She spreads her strategy like butter, covers all the bread. With Santiago, she is sweet and slightly worried. She expresses concern that Mateo is too attached to the new housekeeper. She plays on the idea of propriety. "You know," she says softly as they drink coffee she insisted on making, "I do not like how dependent he seems on Camilla. A child like him should not be confused about who his family is." She says family with a weight that suggests a locked door. With Mateo, she intensifies the rules. He must not tell anyone what he remembers about the car. If he draws something with two women, he must tear it up before the wrong eyes see it. If he says anything, his father will break like glass and never be put back together. With Camilla, she shifts between condescension and threat. "You are very kind," she says with her smooth smile. And then later in the hallway where the light is dim, she whispers, "I know where your mother lives. It is a nice house with painted wooden eaves. Does the little dog still bark at everyone who walks by?" Camilla's stomach drops. She did not tell anyone where her mother lives. She did not tell anyone about her brother Diego. But Valeria knows. That is what people like Valeria do. They gather data the way spiders gather dew. When a poison cannot be seen, the body still knows. The house starts to ache. Santiago begins to notice odd details about Valeria that do not fit the story of 2 years abroad. She knows the gossip about a bakery that opened 6 months ago. The first batch of sweet bread was too dry. Then they learned. Then it became excellent. She knows the new melody that plays in the grocery store because it has been on local radio for 3 months. She touches the coffee shelf without looking and pulls down the brand he switched to because the other brand started tasting metallic. She remembers the old gym hours instead of the new gym hours, then corrects herself like someone quick on her feet. He tells himself grief can make memories strange, that she could have learned these things since she got back. He wants to believe that because the alternative is a cliff with no fence. There are also papers. Camilla finds one by accident. Valeria drops her bag and a stack of envelopes slide out. Among them is a utility bill with a date from 3 months ago and the address of an apartment in the same city. There is a prescription bottle with Valeria's name on it, filled in a clinic 6 months ago and refilled twice. There is a selfie of Valeria in the mall from 4 months ago when the skylight was being repaired and plastic sheets were hung like white flags. Maybe she went to a different city that looks exactly like this one, Camilla thinks, because denial is a human ability as strong as greed. Then she looks in Mateo's lap and sees the drawing he has been working on. 2 women with the same hair and the same eyes in the front seats of a car. One woman with her hands on the wheel, the other's hand grabbing the wheel and pulling, a small child crying in the back. Camilla puts her fingers on the edge of the paper. "May I keep this?" she asks. Matteo shakes his head no, and points toward the hallway where Valeria sometimes appears, as if she has been summoned by the movement of a thought. Camilla nods. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out her phone, and snaps a photo without sound. Matteo flinches at the light. She touches his shoulder. "Sorry, my prince. You are so brave." Santiago is a man caught between two songs. One is the song of hope, the one that returned when Matteo first laughed. The other is the song of a long love that ended with metal and rain. When Valeria shows him a note she claims she found in the trash, his hands shake. It reads in a slanted hand, "Matteo needs a mother. Maybe I can be that person for him." The letter is in Valeria's handwriting, but she has chosen a pen identical to the one Camilla uses, and gilt inks all messages the same color if you want to see it. Santiago looks at Camilla and asks gently if she wrote it. She says she did not. She says she is only here to help. He wants to believe her. He also thinks of how easily his house could become something else if he fails to protect his son. Fear moves his mouth for him. From now on, he says, low and tired, "You cannot be alone with Matteo. You clean when I or Valeria are around. That is not a punishment. It is a rule to keep order. It is very hard to be told you must stand behind a wall you built yourself to keep someone safe." Camilla nods and tastes salt. She puts her hand to her stomach as if the body knows where to store pain. She does not argue. She cannot risk a fight that would end with her gone from this house completely. She continues to work. She tidies and dusts while her heart invents maps. She counts the ways Valeria might lie. She counts the ways Matteo might get hurt. She counts the seconds it takes to cross from the kitchen to the living room if a child screams. Valeria watches all of this with the calm of someone who believes the game is hers to win. But she has made a mistake. People like her often do because they think the world is a mirror and not a window. The mistake is simple. She has underestimated the body of a child's memory. A child remembers not only with his head, but with his muscles. The sound of rain in the car. The way the seatbelt cuts into his shoulder when someone jerks the wheel. The shape of a voice that tells him to be quiet, to be good, to be a secret. That memory has been waiting for a door to open. It finds it in terror first. Then it finds it in love. The final week before the break has a tension like strings tuned too tight. It hums even when no one moves. In the afternoon, Santiago leaves to sign papers for the inheritance his grandfather left him. He had mentioned it to Camilla a few days earlier. He did not see the way her eyes widened, how she swallowed hard. 15 billion pesos is a lot of money. "It will change the way people look at you," he had said, half joking. "It will change the way the wrong people look at you," she had thought, not joking at all. Valeria offers tea. "You look tense," she says to Camilla. It is a simple statement with a sharp edge. "I use this tea to help myself when I feel anxious. It works very well." The smell that rises from the cup is a meadow. Beneath the meadow is a pharmacy. Camilla sips. The taste is sweet for a second, then bitter like a secret that has been told too often. "Do you like it?" Valeria asks, sitting too close. Camilla smiles as if she has forgotten how. "Very much," she says. She tilts the cup when Valeria looks toward the window and pours most of the liquid into the plant beside her chair. The soil darkens. The plant drinks what was meant to quiet a human body. The plant will be fine. The plant does not have a job and a child to protect. "You know," Valeria says softly, "some people ask too many questions. That can be difficult for them. I do not want anything difficult to happen to you." She leans over as if to share a confidence. "I would hate it if your mother found herself opening the door to someone she should not let in. Or if your brother, what is his name again? Diego? If he had a misunderstanding with someone after midnight outside the gas station. Those places can be unsafe. People fight. Bad things happen. No one is to blame. It would be tragic." Camilla lets her eyes drift partly closed. She lets her head drop back against the chair, as if the tea is a soft tide pulling her out beyond the buoys. She hears the click of a cabinet opening in the other room. She hears footsteps and a drawer sliding out. When Valeria returns, she is carrying a length of rope coiled neatly. The rope looks like a simple household thing. In the wrong hands, Every simple household thing becomes a sentence with no punctuation. It is remarkable, Valeria murmurs, how easy it is to build a story that other people prefer. You were so sorry you could not help the boy. You were so sad. You had been caught in a small lie about writing a note. You felt ashamed. You left a little message for your family. It will be convincing. People understand despair. They do not always understand malice. She looks at the rope and then at Camilla. Thank you for drinking the tea, she says, as if thanking a guest for removing her shoes. Footsteps in the corridor, smaller, softer. A slight squeak. Mateo is awake. He is in the doorway, hair rumpled, cheeks flushed, hands on the wheels of his chair. He looks first at Camilla's face. He reads the way her eyelids are heavy and the minute tension at the edge of her mouth. He looks next at the rope in Valeria's hands. He looks at the doorway, where there is still a rectangle of daylight. He knows what daylight means. Freedom, safety. He knows what the rope means. He does not need the word for it to understand. No, the sound is fragile and huge. It is a word scraped up from the bottom of a dry well. It shakes the room. Valeria startles. The rope slips. It hits the floor with a dull thud. Camilla opens her eyes fully at the sound. She turns her head and sees Mateo's mouth forming another shape. Do not hurt, he says, voice scraped and rusty. He points at Camilla. Do not hurt her. The next sound is another pair of footsteps, heavy footsteps, the front door opening too fast. The sound of a man who has been talking on the phone and is still breathing hard from the conversation. Santiago walks in, sees the rope, sees the boy, sees Camila, sees the expression on Valeria's face. There is a moment when the mind takes a snapshot and refuses to develop it. What is happening, he says. Mateo is crying, but he is not silent. It is as if a dam has cracked and the river insists on being a river again. He is not fluent. He will not be fluent for a while. He does not need to be fluent to be understood. She was in the car, he says. With Mommy, she grabbed the wheel. He pulls his hands sharply to one side to show it. He swallows and spits air and words at the same time. She did it. Valeria laughs at first. She clings to the laugh like a floating log. He is confused, she says. He is a traumatized child. He does not know what he is saying. He has been manipulated by this woman. She is upset. She is stirring his mind. Santiago, listen to me. Look at me. We will fix this. Santiago looks at her. He looks hard, as if his eyes might be knives. Did you lie about Spain? He asks. The question is too simple. It leaves no place to hide. People like Valeria need complex debates, nuanced justifications, swirling fog. Simplicity is light. She falters. No, she says. Then yes, then it was complicated. He calls for help with the shortness of someone in a fire. He calls the police because the world needs to be in the room with him when he learns what happened. The operator asks him questions. He answers. His voice does not shake when he says the word confession. He thinks of all the nights he blamed himself. He thinks of the first night he told himself a story to make it through to morning. If I had not insisted we stop for groceries, if I had driven slower, if I had driven faster, if I had not nodded when she asked me to bring coffee for the road. He thinks of how blame is a round stone, and you can pass it back and forth until your arms give out. Valeria does not go quietly. That is not how pride works. She does not fall at his feet and beg. She does not recite a list of regrets. Instead, she looks at the boy in the chair, and her face crumples in something that is either grief or a performance of grief, so good it steals your breath. She says, I loved you first, Santiago. I met you before she did. She says, Esperanza took you from me. She says, I only wanted to talk that day. I wanted her to admit that she was wrong. She says she was the one who jerked away. She says it was not my intention. The road was wet. It was an accident. It was a terrible accident. Mateo shakes his head. He points at his ears. He remembers the sound of the words. You said, he says, brokenly. You said you wanted Daddy. You said Mommy stole. People do not always remember words precisely, but the body remembers tone and the shape of a sentence in the mouth that threw it. The police arrive in 15 minutes, and then it is as if the house has been opened and all the air runs out. There are men with careful faces and a woman with a notebook. There is the rustle of evidence bags. There is a rope that becomes an exhibit. There is a cup that becomes a testimony. There is a child who becomes a witness, and the court will decide later whether or not he will sit in a room with wooden flags. There is a man holding his son like a raft. There is a woman who did not die because another woman was brave enough to pretend to sleep. After the quiet is strange. It is not peaceful. It is the quiet after a storm when the birds have not come back yet. Santiago looks at Camilla and does not know what to say that would be large enough to hold what she did. He starts with what is small and true. "I am sorry," he says, and then he is crying, not like when he hears old songs or passes the grocery store, but like a person whose blood is finally cooling after it has boiled too long. "I am sorry I did not see. I am sorry I doubted. I am sorry for everything." Camilla nods. "You did not know," she says. "No one knew." The words are not exactly forgiveness. They are a permission to forgive himself later, when the work is done. Forgiveness is not a switch, it is a calendar. In the months that follow, a small boy becomes talkative. The first week after Valeria leaves, he says, "Milk, please." The second week, he says, "The red book, the one with the dragon." He says, "I had a bad dream." He says, "I do not like thunder." He says, "Can we visit the swing?" He says, "Tell me the story about the brave lion who uses a chair with wheels to race the wind." Because that lion is secretly him, and he is learning to love the secret by making it obvious. He still has nightmares. He still startles at sudden noises. He wakes sometimes and touches his father's face to make sure he is breathing. He touches Camilla's wrist to feel the pulse there. Life returns the way spring returns after ice. Not all at once. Blossom by blossom, the swing creaks again. Mateo cannot swing in the air, so Camilla invents a way to swing on the ground. She ties ribbons to the arms of the chair and shows him how to sway to music. He likes songs that sound like rain, but are not rain. He likes stories that begin with a question. "Do you know the difference between a wolf and a dog?" asks Camilla. He shakes his head. She says, "A dog will stand between you and a stranger, even if no one told it to. A wolf will stand between you and your past and refuse to let you go back. Which one are you today?" He thinks hard. "Dog," he says with a grin. He is right. He is a guardian of the now. The case becomes a low roar in the background. There are articles with headlines that start with the word twin. There are people with microphones who think the right to ask is the same as the right to have an answer. Santiago shuts the gate. He puts a sign on the door. He does not return calls he does not want. He lets the world clatter outside like hail. Inside, his house learns its new temperature. The trial is not a movie. It is long and bureaucratic and full of words that do not quiet hearts. The photograph of the car is not shown to Mateo. The drawing with the two women in the wheel is presented and argued about as if the paper can testify. The rope is photographed. The tea is tested. The phrase "I only wanted to talk" is said like a prayer and dismissed like a lie. In the end, the numbers arrive. 20 years. People say that means something. People say it does not. What matters is that the door of a cell closes. What matters is that the door of a house opens to sunlight, and the boy in the chair asks if they can go to the park. A year is made of mornings. On one morning, Santiago ties a kite together with Mateo. The kite is stubborn. It wants to nosedive. They adjust the tail. They argue about colors. They do not solve the way every kite misbehaves. They solve this kite. In the afternoon, Santiago kneels in the grass in front of Camilla, and the wind tosses a strand of her hair right across his mouth. He laughs and brushes it aside, and then he says, "Marry me," and she says, "Yes." And the boy in the chair shouts, "Finally," because he likes to be the person who knows the ending of a story. They visit the cemetery together. The graves are quiet. The stones do not answer back, but that does not mean they are not listening. Mateo's voice is steady as he tells his mother the news. He puts a single flower on the ground. He does not cry. He has cried enough to make a small lake, and there is a season for everything. After a while, they leave. They hold hands on the way to the car. His small hand in the middle of theirs is warm. There are practical days. There are also soft days where everything is framed in gold for no good reason. They cook soups and spill some. They forget a load of laundry and wash it twice. They take photographs that are not perfect. Matteo insists on making pancakes with eyes and a smile. He calls them people cakes. He eats the eyes first and then giggles like he did the first day. Santiago takes a picture of that giggle and sets it as the lock screen on his phone. He looks at it when he needs proof that certain miracles do not expire. The wheelchair does not go away. Not every story about bravery ends with a person standing up. Some stories end with a person sitting down and then falling in love with the world anyway. Matteo learns to turn tight corners like a dancer. He learns to bump his hip against a door to push it open. He learns the space between the coffee table and the couch to the millimeter. He learns the handles on the kitchen drawers, the ones that catch and the ones that slide. He develops the small muscles in his palms. He develops the large muscle of his determination. At school, he makes a friend who is impatient and funny and who pushes too hard sometimes but always apologizes afterward. They trade secrets. They invent a handshake for hands and wheels. The teacher makes a game out of everything, and Matteo is very good at games now. Some nights he tells Camilla a new thing. He says, "I am not scared of the thunder when you count it." She says, "Let us count together." He says, "I am not scared of the driveway if Daddy whistles." She says, "Then we will whistle when we go out to see the stars." He says, "I am not scared of her voice anymore." He says this without saying Valeria's name. Naming is power. So is the right not to name. Camilla keeps the photograph of the drawing on her phone. She keeps it not because she needs proof. She keeps it to remind herself how brave a child can be when the only path is through fear. On days when she doubts her courage, she looks at it for 1 minute and then makes a small decision that moves her forward. Santiago sometimes wakes and reaches out in half sleep for Esperanza. He always will. Love does not leave when a new love arrives. It moves its chair over and makes room. It is not a betrayal to be happy. This is something he will learn more than once. He will touch the wall and feel the paint grain and anchor himself in the present. He will listen to Camila breathing and to the whisper of the fan. He will count how many seconds pass between the flutter of his eyes and the sigh the dog makes in his sleep. He will practice saying thank you. He will get better at it. They do not sell the house. They repair the doorbell so it sounds soft. They change the light in the hallway so it is less harsh. Camilla paints the garden fence blue. Santiago plants a tree that will be taller than the roof before Mateo's grown. He laughs when he says before Mateo's grown because he's already grown in some ways and still small in others. Grow, he thinks. Grow slowly. Grow in all directions. Once, on a late afternoon when the shadows are long but not yet frightening, Camilla asks Mateo a question to begin a new story. Do you think a person can send a gift from heaven? She asks. Mateo squints at the sunlight on the lawn. Yes, he says eventually. A person can send a gift through sunshine and wind. They can send it by making people dream of the right person at the right time. What gift did your mother send us then? Asked Santiago, his voice gentle and curious. Mattresses, Mateo says with a straight face. They laugh. He grins and shakes his head and says, No, not mattresses. He thinks again. He looks at Camilla. He looks at his father. He looks at the tree they planted. He says, The gift is a person who knows how to bring back a laugh. Camilla looks at the boy as if she has been given something far heavier than a ring. She looks at the man who has learned to stand in a room that used to hurt. She says nothing because sometimes the only way to keep a moment from floating away is to not weigh it down with words. That night they sit in the yard and watch the first star appear. The wind is a kind wind. The day has not demanded too much. The house waits behind them with its doors open. There is soup in the kitchen that will taste better tomorrow. There are shoes by the door in a row, small, medium, large. The past is still back there in the rain, but it is not the only weather they remember. The future is not a place beyond a cliff. It is a path under their feet. They hold hands and breathe. Not every story has a twist. This one had more than one. Not every story ends with a wedding. This one does not end there either, because life does not end when people say vows. Life begins again and again and again. In the morning, there will be coffee and a kite that needs more tail and a math homework page that is slightly smudged. There will be sleepy hair and socks that do not match, and someone will cry because toast burned. There will be gentle voices. There will be laughter. The child will laugh and the man will listen, and the woman will smile like someone who knows how to rebuild light out of dust. Sometimes a year later, when thunder rolls, Mateo will ask to count, and Camilla will count, and Santiago will whistle, and the three of them will lean toward each other the way people do when the sky makes a loud sound. Seconds after the boom, they will laugh because it is ridiculous and beautiful to be so alive. The story will keep going. They will visit the swing and invent new ways for swinging. They will visit the cemetery with flowers and words that are not heavy. They will ask each other questions at the beginning of each day. They will begin stories with, "Do you remember? Do you want to? Do you think?" They will hang wind chimes that sound like rain. They will never again confuse quiet with peace or noise with danger. They will teach a boy that his voice can fix a story that went wrong. They will teach themselves that love is not a fragile thing. It is a rope used for pulling people up, not for tying them down. If you ever open your door and hear a laugh you thought was gone, listen closely. That sound is a map. It will show you how to get home. It will show you who to let in. It will show you where to stand when the wind rises. It will reveal who you are in the moment when you finally answer it back.